Hello, I would like to give you a little update what's going on with this project. As you know, things don't always turn out the way you plan, and that is what has happened to me. And sometimes they turn out to be 50 times better than you planned, and that is what happened to me. The Back to Sweden project was basically to convert something from conventional ag to more of a regen ag, and to take the step from something very common to something very uncommon, basically. And I still have that 1 hectare. I have the wood chip bed, I have the cover crops, and I'm continuing to do that. But what happened last fall was that I was able to make an offer for a lease of 50 hectares of land. And as it turned out, I got the lease. So right now I have 51 hectares to convert from conventional to regen. And today I'm just, sorry for being a bit messy here, but I'm picking rocks on this field right now, and it's getting warm. The field behind me here is actually 25 hectares or 50 acres. And I am preparing it right now for sowing peas, because I believe peas is a really good crop for preparing for a regen kind of thing. And I managed also to get this as a seed crop, so I'm gonna sell the crop as seed, so that will help the bottom line a bit. The other parts of the farm, as I said, it's 50 hectares, and this is 25 in one piece here. The other fields are 13.5 hectares of winter wheat that I have been using an organic fertilizer to put down in it now. That field does have a lot of weeds, so I'll be using the Rapid kind of sowing machine, where it has discs that cuts tracks, and I've been using that as a way to create some soil, so that I can use a weeder later to attack the weeds with. And then I will try to, the last time I go with a weeder, I will try to sow some sub clover. I'm not sure what's the English word, sub clover. It's a very low growing kind of clover that will stay close to the ground and not interfere with the wheat. And then after harvest, I hope it to expand a bit, and I will sow in more cover crops and so on. So what I've done is I prepared since we are in the European Union, farmers have a lot of regulations and things to attend to, and I have reported all this area for both cover crop and for spring treatment, as they call it. And the good thing is that they actually do have an extra subsidy for doing that. So for a guy like me that is really into using the cover crop method and using the soil biology, and to build up a system where I don't have to input any fertilizer or herbicides or fungicides or whatever at all, at least that's the goal. For me, that is a very beneficial system, because it really helps my bottom line to get it going. Now, there are other regulations there that you can't really sow what cover crops you want to. There's just a few of them that you can actually use. But I mean, you would just try to do as good as you can with the ones that you have available. My biggest concern right now is how is it going to work in the spring. I've been investigating about using cereal rye, as a lot of the Americans do in some other parts of the world. The thing there is, I need to leave it until it's too late to sow here. We are up in the north in Scandinavia and Sweden, and we usually, today is the 16th of April 2021, and I'm about to sow the peas here. And if you roll crimp cereal rye, you have to wait to what is called anthesis, where the flowers, where the ray basically flowers, so it's not in the vegetative state anymore. It's really on its way about to die. And then you can roll crimp it, and you can succeed in killing it properly. But that is in June, and that is way too late to sow here. So I need to find either a cover crop that winter kills. The good thing with that is that it winter kills, you don't have to kill it, but it has a very low carbon to nitrogen ratio, so it will basically disappear and leave the ground bare, open for weed infestation. And then I'm back to cultivating as I did before. So this is something that concerns me right now. What way to go? Should I kill the cereal rye earlier and hope it doesn't grow back? Should I go for some legumes or something that winter kills and just do a shallow cultivation? And that is actually the method I'm thinking about right now, because I work at Väderstad, which is a manufacturer of farm machines, and we have a machine that does a really shallow but very intensive cultivation. And even though I don't like cultivating that top layer, because that's where the most of the biology is, but at the same time I need to be able to put the seed in the ground. I need to be able to handle the weeds that are already there. I'm aware that I am creating a bed for weeds to grow in, but I also have the opportunity to come in there with a weeder. I mean, if you leave a thick layer of biomass, there's no way you can get in there with a weeder. You just need to trust. It has to be either way. Either you kill all the weeds with a biomass, or you do it with some kind of cultivation, unless you can do some overground, like with the scissors, kind of what they call now, I can't remember now. But anyway, that is my concern right now. Do I go for something that winter kills, or maybe stays until April, and I can easily kill it with this kind of equipment that I'm talking about, and make a very shallow cultivation, prepare it for more of a conventional seed bed? So I'm a bit back and forth now. I'm going to do a lot of research in here, but anyway, the project is not. I haven't updated for the whole winter, but that's not because it's dormant. It's basically very much alive and actually expanding with 50 times more than last year. So if you want to follow me but how I convert from conventional to Regen, organic Regen, you can follow this channel. I didn't mention this farm has been conventionally farmed up until now, basically when I take over it, March 15. So that is the reason for the wheat, for instance, was the direct drilled this fall. It did not have any spray. It was not sprayed as it should have been, and that is basically a setup for a conventional treatment in the spring. And that's what I'm taking over now and trying to do it in an organic way. So I have, in that case, the worst conditions for going into organic, but we'll see. I have big hopes it's going to succeed anyway. I didn't mention the linseed. We are preparing up here one field with 11.4 hectares of linseed. So now when I went up to the seed dealer, it turned out that they had forgot to order it or whatever. It wasn't there. So but no big deal. It's linseed wants to have a warm soil, so it's going to be a few days later, and today, as you can see, it's very warm and nice. So I think it's just an advantage. It's going to be sown into warmer soil, which is good for linseed. So but anyway, this field, 25 hectares for ready for pea seedment. I'm gonna clear it from rocks right now, and then I'm gonna cultivate it one more time, just to get it as smooth as possible. This was a plowed field, and this is my last chance to basically get it even, since I'm not gonna plow anymore. So I'm gonna do some extra cultivation here, which is a bit of a risk before pea, because you are compacting the soil more, and that is not an advantage for the peas. But I think I need to do it anyway, because I don't want to have a bumpy field when I'm not going to plow anymore. So what I'm going to do is to use the fertilizer coulter discs on the machine. I will set them down a bit lower. I'm not putting any fertilizer on this, so I'm just running them dry, but I'm going to put them further down to create a crack there, so maybe that can create some passage for the roots from the peas to find their way down anyway, even if it's a bit hard. But I have checked this field with a penetrometer, as it's called, a thing where you basically push through the soil, and I have below 150 psi all the way down to 30-40 centimeters where I have the plowing pan, and then it runs up to a thick layer there, and then below that I'm going back to below 150 again until I go back to really deep. Then it shows up to 300 psi. As you may know, the plant roots will gladly grow anywhere between 0 and 150 psi, no problem. Up at 150 psi, they start to getting a little bit of resistance. Between 150 and 300, that's difficult for a plant root, so it can get through, but it's not very good. And above 300 psi, roots really don't go through that. So if you have a plow pan or something like that at 20 centimeters on that runs up to 200-300 psi, that's a bad thing. You need to use metal to get rid of that. So I'm going to investigate this field and do a check it again this fall and see if it's too hard. I'm going to look at the peas also, if they look yellowish and if they are struggling, it might be an issue with soil compaction. And I do have an option to run it with a subsoil at like 50 centimeters deep to use metal the first time to get it going. Then once I have the soil compaction released for the first time, I'm going to use the plants, the cover crop and so on to create a new structure and to maintain the structure in the soil to make sure that it doesn't become too compact again. So, well, I'm not going to rant on more now. I have more stones to pick. So I'll be back to you. Bye for now.